Officer with SnapTech IT and your co-host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can always visit us on our YouTube channel for all of our content on demand. Today's topic is top 5 best use cases of AI inside of B2B apps. Which tools are getting it right? I'm joined today by my colleague, Nathan Caldwell. Nathan leads our marketing efforts here at SnapTech. Nathan, it's good to be with you on this month's webinar.
Fantastic to be with you, Ted. I always love our time together.
All right. Well, today we're taking a slightly different journey, I think, in terms of the content. And we're going to be talking about the way AI is really transforming B2B software applications. And I mean, if you're a purveyor of a software application today and you're not baking in AI, there's probably a huge problem. So there's a ton of innovation happening. We've spent a lot of time with clients and prospects over the past year talking about how to maximize and leverage a lot of the generative AI tools, things like Copilot, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and the like. But we have all of these other apps we use. And a lot of the cool things you can do with generative AI, you can also, it's easier to do them inside the apps you already know and love. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on some highlights of some of the ones that we're using day to day and we really love and believe in. And we'll show those to you, which will hopefully inspire you and your team to kind of lean into some of these solutions more in your own technology journey. We do like to spend 1 minute explaining who SnapTech is at the top of all of our events. SnapTech IT is a cybersecurity first IT service provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, our philosophy is that technology should solve problems and not create them. But we have new clients come to us and they often are either struggling because their current provider is too slow or not responsive to their needs, or maybe their technology is long in the tooth and just there's a lot of day-to-day problems which are getting in the way of employees getting their work done, or maybe the management team is losing sleep because their cybersecurity posture is not where it needs to be. What we look to do is when we bring on clients is we implement our proven process. And when our clients work with us closely, they're going to have a technology plan, they're going to have a predictable IT budget, they're going to have somebody looking after their IT and cybersecurity that's implementing best practices every day. And what our clients get from that is they're able to really work securely wherever their employees are. And when things break, things always break in technology, it's just inevitable. Do you have somebody you can turn to that delivers you fast and friendly IT support? And that's definitely what we also do day to day. And what our clients get out of this sort of relationship is the peace of mind that their data is being protected and their organization is secure, and that their employees are spending time getting the work done rather than struggling with technology. The way we engage with clients is in 2 separate ways. If you're a smaller company and there's nobody on your team who has IT on their badge, we do fully managed outsourced IT for those sorts of organizations. If you're larger and you have an IT director or an IT manager or an IT team, there's often a situation where if your company's growing, there's too many projects on the back burner, or there's too many things to get to, or you don't have specialized expertise because you have a small team. And with those sorts of organizations, we do what's called co-managed IT, where we come alongside you, we figure out a customized outsourcing relationship with your organization that is unique to you, and we call that co-managed IT. So that's it. That's it on the terms of like who SnapTech is. Let's look a little bit at our agenda today. We're going to look at 5 applications specifically, and Nathan's created a little bit of drama here and like a kind of a countdown format, but Nathan and I are going to divide and conquer how we talk about these 5 applications. But these are all apps that we use every day, and a lot of these AI functionalities we've been using for months or years, and we're going to share with you our firsthand experience with that, and hopefully inspire you and your team to maximize AI in a lot of the existing apps you may have in operation inside your organization. So with that, Nathan, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you're going to take it from here and look at Canva and Notta.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump over. I'll be the presenter right now, and I'm going to share my screen, and you should be seeing my screen over here now. And we're taking a look at Canva. So right off the bat, I want to just show a little bit about plans and pricing, so you know what you're getting into with Canva and where the features lie. Because it always feels like a bait and switch when you think, hey, I need that feature, where is it? And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I got to upgrade to get that feature. So what we're actually looking at is the Pro version, and this is for individuals, and I just have the Pro version because it's really just me working in Canva over here. And so what I want to show to you though is not a demo of just Canva and designing images or flyers or things like that. I want to take you through the power that is there with their AI and what that AI can do inside Canva to really wow you. So get ready to have your socks knocked off, because
don't oversell it or anything.
Oh, Ted, we're having fun. We're having fun. So what you're looking at when you get into Canva, it's going to ask you, what will you design today? You can see that the Canva AI button is up here. You can also see that the Canva AI button is down here. So for this, you want to invoke the Canva AI. So you click on that button. Now you can get in here to describe what you want. Here is a neat thing though. Narrow its focus before you begin with a prompt. You'll want to do that in Canva. There are still some areas where AI is present, but then when you invoke it, you ask for something, Canva will reply and say, hey, I'm still working on that. So you want to be specific about what you want to create rather than relying on the Canva AI to interpret exactly what you're asking for it to do. So let me show you what we're going to do, because I think this is one of the most impressive pieces of the AI. Yes, you can create images. Yes, you can create content and designs in here, but I want to show you code. And so we're going to go with code, and I'm going to pick one of their examples that they put in here, almost like old Clippy, when he used to say, looks like you're writing a resume. Do you want help with that? And he populates a resume layout. So we're going to start with the actual layout that Canva has in here for a pricing calculator. But I want to show you the power that it actually has to make it customizable for you and your business. So let's jump in. We're going to click on that pricing calculator down here, the example that they have, and it populates instructions already for you of how it's going to do that. And so you can right off the bat read through the description of what it's going to do for you and what it's asking, and decide if you want to adjust anything. So for starters, I am going to adjust something, and I want to share that with you, because here's the thing, I've already tested this, and so I know what happens with this specific example, and I know that there's something I want to avoid. So I'm going to go ahead and just edit the prompt, and all I changed was this. I said, instead of it being selectable about the hourly rate, because it doesn't make sense for a customer to choose what their hourly rate will be with a photographer. Like, we just got some family photos done over Thanksgiving. I wasn't able to go on the photographer's website and say, actually, I want to pay $150 an hour instead of $350 an hour. So we don't want to give that power to the client. However, what we do want to do is state that it's going to be $150 an hour for 1 to 5 people, but it's going to need to be 2 hours for 6 to 12 people. So the more people that are there, the longer it's going to take. Now, imagine that example in your business. Are there projects that will take longer? Sure. And so what we're going to show is this getting created. So I'm going to hit submit, and we're going to see what it does here. It's going to think for a little while, and it's going to not only come back with the code, you're going to see it build out the code, but it's going to give us also the actual design once that code is processed. And so we're going to let it go because there's a couple additional steps that I want to show you, that you can let this code process, you can get the visualization, the actual design of what this code will look like with that pricing calculator. And then in plain language, you can ask for additional changes. And so it's going to be really cool once it all populates. And this is the part where, you know, sometimes we do screenshots instead of demos if it takes a while, but you can see that I'm hands-free. I'm not typing any of this code. And so Canva's doing it all. And so that's relatively impressive. And so look at what we got here. Clarity Studio Photography, professional pricing made simple. What does it do for us? Oh, it tells us, hey, if you have 1 to 5 people, it's going to be a 1 hour session. If you have 6 to 12 people, it's going to be 2 hours. Okay, so it did what I wanted. Number of photo images, you know, there's 10. And so there's a couple of additional things that I want to show you here. And it did the design a little bit differently than the first couple of times that I ran this, but that's the beauty of live demos. And so what had happened was, you know, people could manually select how many hours, and it was a toggle between the number of people you had. And so I didn't like that. And so I went back in and I actually changed how the toggle could be. So I don't want to allow the person to select 1 hour or 2 hours. I want them make the user select or indicate how many people they have. Okay, so we're going to say that and kick that in and see what it does. And it should be making those updates in real time so that we get a different version here. So you can see that it had version 1 based on this. And now it's taking additional info and styling. Okay, and it's making sure that everything's there. It tells me perfect. Okay, now look. Number of people. Okay, did it work? Number of people, 3. It gives you a 1 hour session. That's not clickable. I can't change that. But now if I go up, it should be, if I go above 6 people, it's going to change to 2 hours. 4 people, still 1 hour. 5, 6, boom, it moved to 2 hours. Isn't that amazing? Now, it might not be rocket science that just changed, but the fact that all I had to do was put a little sentence there, don't allow the user to manually select the 1 or 2 hours, make the user select or indicate how many people they have, and it changed it. That's beautiful. But yet there's more. You are able to publish your calculator and create a unique URL for free. If you don't care what the URL is, if this is just going to be something that you send specifically to individual clients or things like that, or if you own a URL, you can attach it and you can publish it. So look, this is, I published it because it takes a little bit of time. So I wanted to show you that here it is published as an actual URL. I can give you this URL, photography demo site.my.canva.site. And so like I said, if you don't care about the URL, that's a free one that you can just grab. And I chose to call it photography demo site because we're doing a demo. If I put that link in the chat, guess what? All of you could go to this and click on it and get your quote. And yet there's more. Once I went here and I created the site, I recognized that, oh, well, big deal. All it does is give you a total price. And then nothing was going to happen down at the bottom. But I went back into the chat and I said, make it open up an email browser, the default email browser, and send an email to my email address. So let's go ahead and click this button get started with your session. Remember, this is a real web page right now. So when I hit get started with your session, boom, here's what it did based on my instructions. I got pull this window over. Oh, it's not letting me in. Hang on. It's because I'm full screen here. All right, so now I can pull the, there we go. All right, you seeing this, Ted?
Yep.
Okay, so when I hit that button, it automatically opened up an email for me to send to the photography company. And guess what? It populated my email address from my default browser. It's sending it to the photographer, which is my Gmail. If you guys, my birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks. If you guys want to send me an Amazon gift card, send it to that email address. So screenshot right now. But then also it populated the subject, photography session quote request. It populated all of this info. Hello, I would like to book a photography session with the following details. Number of people, 1 hour, total of 6 images, price breakdown, total price. Please contact me to confirm availability. Boom. And all that person has to do is hit send on that email. So they got to play around with the pricing calculator, get to where they want it. They click confirm, it pops up the email, and they can send it away. So there's so much you can do there in Canva. Ted, have I blown your socks off yet?
Well, I think what's cool is if you can maybe toggle back to the library of potential templates. I mean, just to kind of go up a level a little bit for our audience. I mean, if you're not a graphic designer, if you're not in a marketing department, you might be like, what is Canva? I mean, Canva is a pretty popular app, but you know, day to day, most people are using Canva to create social media advertisements, you know, various graphics of various kinds, and it's got all the really basic AI features you can imagine of create an image, integrate the image with your piece you're creating, and that sort of thing. But when Nathan and I were thinking about the demo here, we wanted to kind of go to another level. And really what's exciting about what Canva's doing is they're taking more advanced functionality and, you know, more advanced digital content that you would commonly want to create. And they're making it templatized, but allowing you to leverage the AI engine behind it to customize it and then create something that's unique to yourself while still leveraging this nice library of cool, you know, kind of canned items that would be commonly used in a website or a digital marketing experience you're trying to deliver. So pretty cool. I mean, this sort of stuff, it's like, I remember, you know, hiring somebody for $10,000, you know, 15, 20 years ago or whatever to build us a pricing calculator when I was in a marketing department company. And Nathan just showed how, you know, any SMB today can add a pricing calculator to their website and integrate it with business logic right into a workflow that generates leads for your organization with just a couple clicks of the button. And so, like, I guess this is just a great example of really advanced things that are becoming super easier, which is what AI is all about, I think.
Yes. And the big point is not, hey, this is the only thing AI can do in Canva. It's, look at how powerful this one thing is. Now stretch your imagination. What else do you want to build today? Right. And, you know, I really like this, an interactive historical timeline. You could put together something amazing there. An interactive menu for a restaurant. That could be also services that you offer. And so getting creative with it, play around with it, and find a way for it to help you accomplish something great. So that is a quick look at Canva and what it can do, the power of AI in there. I want to move on to my next demo, which is a site called Notta or Notta. Do you know how it's pronounced, Ted?
It's Japanese, so I actually don't. But anyway,
I was setting you up for a dad joke there. You were supposed to say not a clue.
Okay, sorry. Dang it, missed it. Anyway, but I say Notta. But go ahead. Okay. You're done.
Not a clue. So here's the pricing I wanted to show that I have the Pro model. Even when you click annual, it just shows you what it is monthly. But you can do the math, you know, $8 a month times 12 months. So there you go. So it's around 90 something dollars. But jumping in, here's what it is and what it can do. This is AI transcription services and so much more. We're going to focus to start on the AI transcription services. So when I come into Notta, I am going to upload and transcribe a video. Now you might be wondering why transcription services? Because once you have written content, scripts, you can do so much more with it. This is the Gary V strategy of taking one piece of content and then repurposing it in many different ways. And what we're talking about here, what we do is we record these webinars. And if you've been on previous webinars of ours where we do talk about marketing content, we've shown a little bit of this before where we say, hey, record your content, throw it into Notta, transcribe it, build a blog out of it. But that's just one piece. There are many different avenues with the power of AI where you can take this. And so we would upload a video and transcribe it. Takes a bit of time to upload it, mere minutes, and then it will transcribe it. Here is the power, though, of once that video is transcribed, I want to show you, I skipped one little step. When you are going to bring it in and you are going to upload and transcribe something, there is, you would choose your file, then there's a setting where you indicate how many speakers are in the video. Very, very important, okay? This is not just a setting, this is part of the overall strategy. Indicate how many speakers are in the video because then it will, through AI, notice the different vocal patterns and script it, transcribe it, and attribute it to the various speakers. Now you're looking at this screen now where I had uploaded a video, it already transcribed it, and it assigned speaker 1 and speaker 2. And you might be thinking, Nathan, that's not so helpful. Here's where it gets helpful. I can click on speaker 1, and I've already done several of these, so Ted's name is already in there. And I know in this video, it's the speaker is Ted because he says here, my name's Ted Hulsy. And so I go and I assign that to Ted and I can apply it to the current speaker, or look at this time-saving moment. Apply to all speaker 1. Boom, I just did it. I'm clicking on that. Thank you very much. Now every speaker 1 is credited to Ted Hulsy. Speaker number 2, I know in this webinar, that was me, Nathan. So I'm gonna apply to all speaker 2. Now I've just credited all of these quotes to our people. The cool thing about it is that now you can do many different strategies with this. And so I want to highlight 3 different strategies. One is you can produce blog content out of this. And so I could go over here to the AI chat that's built right in, and I can just ask it, where did I ask it? Rewrite this transcript as a 600-word blog. And in an instant, it wrote a 600-word blog for me. Or I could download it in a Word doc, and I could take it over to a custom-built GPT that has studied the SnapTech IT voice and also reviewed our website, reviewed different white papers we've made, and can intelligently rewrite that script, that transcript, into a blog here in ChatGPT, or you could do Copilot. The example is, though, that this could be for you more powerful than just doing it in Notta. But if you don't have multiple subscriptions, you can do it in Notta. All right, so going back to the next thing that I want you to pay attention to. So number one is blogging, get it into your voice, publish it on your website, transcribe it, all of that. Number two, and Ted, I want you to back me up on this one. I want you to engage with me on this one, which is if you have Copilot or other LLMs, you can point and direct it toward databases of material and published material so that it can pull and answer questions based on your content. So if you're transcribing all of your webinars and you're storing it where Copilot will look at it, all of a sudden you have a database of quotable material over topics that aren't necessarily published within your company. We don't have a blog on every topic. We don't have a document that says this is SnapTech IT's opinion or stance or belief or content on every single topic that's in the world. However, when we start talking about it on a webinar and we can quote Ted on it, or we can quote our CEO, Carl, or anybody else in the company, and now it's in that database, then it becomes searchable and pull outable, if that's the term,
Yeah.
and then you can quote it. And so
yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, I think if you just think about it, you know, the same sort of things happening with our in our organizations with the repository of recorded meetings that are occurring is that, you know, it's this whole the whole phenomenon of every piece of video content being transcribed is super powerful. And from a marketer's perspective, the example Nathan's giving, I mean, I've been producing webinars for you know, 2 decades, frankly, right? And just up to like 2 or 3 years ago, you know, every webinar would have an MP4 file, and every MP4 file would be uploaded to YouTube, but that didn't mean I had a transcript. Now today, every single time we create a recorded piece of marketing content, we make a transcription of it and we store it in a file collaboration platform like OneDrive and SharePoint. And then in the case of Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, you write in Copilot, you can go have interactive chat conversations, which are going to have already ingested all of the textual elements of those webinars, and you can then create on brand, on message, on your point of view, raw content or expertise or other marketing pieces by leveraging that rich body of textual content that's been stored in the file collaboration platform. So that's really kind of a game changer. The other thing you could do in Copilot is you could build a notebook. So you could take a discrete set of, say, 24 webinars, and you could store them in a Copilot notebook and then actually have interactive chat conversations that are really circumscribed just around those particular pieces of content, for example. So transcription, I mean, Note is crazy. It's like $14 a month. I mean, when you're on the month-to-month plan, or $13 a month, it's a total bargain. And you can also, in addition to feeding it content that your team has created, you can feed it YouTube videos. So you can kind of rip, if you will, textual content from all sorts of stuff that's out in the wild, if you will, for various different market research projects or analysis that you might be doing. Lots of different use cases. So we love Notta, and let me turn it back over to you, Nathan, after those couple comments.
Yeah, and so there's a bunch more going on here. You can do summaries. You can do a lot more with the AI in here. But I want to show you one more application of getting the transcript out of here and what it can do for you to bring power and visibility to your business, and why you absolutely want to do this. Ted mentioned that we put these videos up on YouTube. YouTube doesn't necessarily pull our captions automatically. And we also want to make sure that it's attributed to the right speaker for SEO purposes. So if we have Ted's name pulling up over and over, then we're getting to a better spot. All right, so let me show you how to do that. You want to just download the transcript. This is very important. It needs to be, in order for it to be effective and load to YouTube properly, you need it to be a subtitle file, which it does for you. And then you want to make sure that it just includes the transcript, actually. I misspoke a moment ago with including speakers. So just the transcript, and then you would download it. From there, then when you are editing your YouTube video, there is the option, and I'm going to click on it here. After you put the video up on YouTube, there's the option to add subtitles, and you can see that I already added the file there. And right away, it's, hey, good afternoon. Welcome to SnapTech IT's monthly webinar for September 2025. My name's Ted Hulsy, SnapTech IT. So right away, we're getting keywords in here. Chat GPT, productivity problems. It goes through, and even in just like the first 16 minutes of this webinar, we say Chat GPT probably 15 times. And in a video, that's acceptable. In a blog, it doesn't work great. You won't get a lot of readers for that. So the SEO that is here and available to you by making sure your transcription is added to your video just exponentially helps you with that SEO, with that visibility. Ted, that's what I wanted to share. And I am so glad to turn it back over to you right now.
Okay, well, nice. We're gonna change gears. You're gonna give me back control, and we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look at something a little different. So, for those of you who aren't involved with many sales and marketing things, you're probably wondering, wow, what are they going to talk about? The things that let's see here. Oh, I need to share my screen again. There we go. Okay, let's see. When are you going to talk about some of the things I want to talk about? Well, what I want to do next is do, we're going to look at 3 different applications, and I'm going to talk about either how we're using it today, or in some cases, how we're piloting some of this stuff. So some of this functionality is pretty brand new in some of these apps, and it's pretty kind of early days, but it's stuff that we think has huge promise. So I'll try to call out where we're kind of in R&D phase a little bit and where we're off to the races fully. But let's talk about, for those of you who are in an operational role, or maybe in a leadership role, or in the finance and accounting organization in your company, you probably know about Bill.com. Bill.com, publicly held company, very successful. They have the very popular Divvy app, which I think is a total game changer. If you've ever been a person who gets your expense reports in late, Divvy's your friend.
Or on time.
Yeah, or on time. But anyway, but Divvy is one of their products, which really makes expense management really good. But one of the big challenges that organizations face is just invoice processing. There's all kinds of challenges with invoices. One, they come in at high volume. Historically, what you've had to do is kind of code the invoice. You've had to like literally rekey information from a PDF invoice you got or an email-based invoice you have. That's error prone. You end up with duplicates. You end up with confusion around duplicate invoices. Sometimes invoices get paid twice, or sometimes the invoice doesn't get paid at all because maybe it was keyed in incorrectly, or somebody thought it was a duplicate, but it was actually a legit invoice. So there's all these challenges, and in a finance or accounting organization that's handling the accounts payable function, there's just historically has been a lot of manual work, and Bill.com is one of the tools that helps efficient and accurate and secure in terms of how they process invoices. We use this today. We've been using it for more than a year. And to prepare for today's webinar, I interviewed Cindy, who's in charge of our accounts payable and receivables. And this is just a game changer for her. Like, if you took this away from her, she would die. Like, she just would not allow it. So all of the invoices that come into our organization are automatically ingested. You can take the invoices and you can forward them to an email address at bill.com, which will then ingest the invoice, or alternatively, you can drag and drop them inside the SaaS application to the app. And what bill.com does is they ingest all the invoices. They use optical character recognition to scan and understand all of the content that's in the invoice, and then they use machine learning, which is a kind of a subset technology of artificial intelligence, to learn over time and to properly code invoices and extract all the right data elements, plop them into the right fields inside of bill.com, and then give a workflow to the accounts payable person to pay invoices on time, pay them when you want to pay them. So the more organized you are with AP, the more you can control your cash flow and be really precise on actually when bills get paid. They don't get paid early, they get paid on time, and you control your cash flow better. And you can do it in a secure way and know that you're not, making any mistakes. And the other thing is that machine learning does is over time, like for example, one of the biggest challenges with invoices is coding, right? You have to code the expense to the right entry on the general ledger so that the expenses end up in the right category. So machine learning technology is leveraged here for every invoice you process. It's going to automate a lot of it, but occasionally it'll say, hey, I don't know what this is. And so you have to manually intervene and code it correctly, but then it learns. And then the next time it sees that invoice or sees that vendor or sees something similar, it's going to code it correctly and automatically. And so it's leveraging OCR technology, which used to be very error prone. I mean, it's probably in the past 5 years, I would say, is that OCR has become kind of rock solid in Adobe, rock solid in applications like this. And it's really quite good today. But this is going to lead an organization to have, greater efficiency in your financial operations, fewer errors, faster processing of invoices, and really just it takes the really uninteresting, labor-intensive stuff out of the workflow and automates it, which is what you want. And so AI in your financial operations, if you're not using something like bill.com, you really should consider it because it's, again, very affordable. The pricing for these sorts of SaaS apps scale to your company size and the number of invoices and the complexity of your financial organization. But you'll get automation, hands-free invoice processing. It's predictive and it learns because it's leveraging machine learning technology. It's going to allow you to manage your cash flow better, catch duplicate invoices, and just, correctly run your finances. So we think this is one of the applications that's really kind of a game changer. I do want to take a pause and remind the audience, if you have burning questions on any of these apps, drop them into the Q&A log. Nathan is managing the Q&A monitor, and we'll try to address your questions on the fly or during a formal Q&A section. So changing gears, so that was bill.com. There's another application that we use, which is called ZoomInfo, ZoomInfo.com. Again, they're now a publicly held company. I've probably been using ZoomInfo for 15 years or something like that. So I love it. I'm the sponsor of this particular app at our company and one of the power users. There's other companies that do what ZoomInfo does. ZoomInfo is a B2B data platform, and they're of course they're calling themselves a go-to-market intelligence platform. But the most basic function of ZoomInfo is it provides a sales and marketing team with B2B data. So you could subscribe to a certain number of seats, and for sellers or marketers, and you have access to a database of business contact information that is high quality. There's other companies that do what ZoomInfo does. There's another big one's called Apollo. There's one called Sales Intel. Those are three of the biggies. Dun & Bradstreet has a whole host of applications in this category. So those are some of the big ones. What we want to show is some of the more the AI functionality that you can get out of ZoomInfo today. They brand their AI feature set as Copilot. So we've kind of talked about this on other webinars that we've done, that the Copilot term is not exclusively owned by Microsoft. It's a great term, but ZoomInfo is sticking with, hey, we have our own Copilot as well. But if you kind of look at what goes on in the day-to-day life of a salesperson, first of all, what you see is that kind of with all technologies, you see that you've got kind of people who are early adopters, people who are going to like really try to be on the cutting edge at all times. But then you have a lot of people who are like, hey, I've got my playbook. I'm going to wait till this stuff gets more fully baked. And so what's kind of interesting is you have skeptics. There are people who are like, I'm not going to embrace that new AI stuff. But I do recommend, if you are in a sales and marketing function, have a look at the state of AI in sales and marketing in 2025 from ZoomInfo. It's a really good research report. So this chart kind of caught my eye, which just kind of shows that there are quite a few laggards out there, people who are kind of skeptics about how some of this tech would work. But on the chart on the right, what you see is, these are the things that a seller or a business development person is going to really care about. Is how do I reach more qualified prospects to win more customers and clients? How do I build deeper relationships with my existing clients? How do I get more automation in my workflow so I'm not pecking out custom emails, but I'm able to kind of mass personalize and mass customize communications to my contacts? And day to day, I think everybody who's in a sales and marketing function, we feel like we're swimming through masses of data, and it's always the wild card is, who are my most important and best conversations to go have at this moment? Like, what's going to yield me the biggest return on my time? And then last but not least is call preparation. So let's look at how ZoomInfo Copilot works in a couple different use cases. So the way this works is, ZoomInfo's core product is their B2B service offering, which gets sellers and marketers access to a B2B database. What they've done is they've created really good integrations between their platform and CRM tools on the one hand, so tools like Salesforce and HubSpot. They've also created integrations with platforms that are like we happen to use something called Gong. And Gong is a platform that, again, records all of your conversations, turns it into a transcript like we were talking about with Notta, and then can do really cool AI-oriented things to summarize your conversations, that sort of thing. Gong is kind of first and foremost kind of almost like a training platform for sales managers to listen into their calls of their people and say, hey, but it's also a huge productivity tool for sellers. And so ZoomInfo can plug into your Gong feed as well. So you've got a recorded library of every single sales conversation you've had. So what you can then do is you can subscribe to the Copilot functionality in ZoomInfo, and then it allows you to do cool things that are AI oriented. And one of them, and for anybody who's on the call who's in sales or been in sales, there's always that frantic moment where you're coming off late from another call and you've got a call to go into, and you have all of 4 minutes to prepare for this call that's coming up. And you're like, oh, who is we meeting with? What did we say last time? And what you can do with Copilot is it'll allow you to simply go into your target account list, click on this panel of key use cases, and for example, you could prepare for a meeting. And so what ZoomInfo Copilot will do is it will ingest all of the notes that are either all of the notes that were generated all the notes that were generated by the sellers in the CRM platform, in our case, HubSpot, and all of the notes from the last calls, and it will pull the prior call details from the call that was generated captured via Gong, and it will give you a quick, hey, here's where we are with this client, and here's what we should talk about in this upcoming call. Another very common scenario for sellers is I need an account summary. So, anybody who's in sales, you also have this ongoing problem, which is it's hard. The reason we have software tools is because you can't keep straight all of this information in your head. And one of the things you often need to do is maybe there's an account that's gone cold or gotten a little bit stale, and all of a sudden they come back alive and they want to have a meeting, and you want to just quickly get up to speed. And again, this is where AI can really help, because it can gather information across disparate sources, across a whole host of notes and activities in the CRM database, across multiple calls in your Gong database of recorded calls, and it can pull together an account summary and tell you who the key stake, what were their primary challenges, what have we talked about previously, what have we pitched as in terms of a solution or offering, and it will populate it right into this tool, so to give you a quick summary of where you are on the account. So that's and then the other sorts of functionality, and there's a lot of overlap in the whole B2B go-to-market software arena. There's a ton of innovation around AI, and there's a ton of overlap between these tools. And so we're showing a little bit here that like a lot of this sort of stuff we're doing over at HubSpot, for example. But another thing you can do with ZoomInfo Copilot is when you have a targeted account list, you can have some of your communication workflow done right here in ZoomInfo. And so you could say, hey, this account's a target account of mine. It's a little cold. We haven't yet gotten a foothold with the account. But I notice because they're on my target account list and all of this information has been gathered about newsworthy things that are happening. I want to send them a note because I see they just raised $130 million of growth capital, and maybe they're flush with cash and maybe you can afford our solution. And so I want to send them an email pinging them on that topic. So you could pick the that piece of newsworthy information, and then the AI in the ZoomInfo Copilot will craft a customized email to send to this particular contact. So a couple different use cases of ZoomInfo Copilot. Want to change gears and talk about HubSpot. HubSpot is a CRM tool, and it's also a full-blown marketing automation platform. One of the most successful companies in the B2B software world, I would say. I'm a huge fan. I spent the first half of my career only using Salesforce, and I'm a much happier camper in a HubSpot world. Frankly, I'm a big fan of the product. But so HubSpot, they've also have a lot of AI features, and want to kind of share a couple of those that we're using and or experimenting with. So when you look at again, this is a good state of sales report from HubSpot 2025. What are some of the things that sellers are looking for from their CRM package, especially the areas of AI, content creation, analysis of your pipeline, automated qualification of leads, and categorization and scoring of leads. These are some of the things that sellers are looking for in terms of functionality that AI can solve for. So let's look at a couple of these. One of the things we use in HubSpot is something called a sequence. And a sequence is a series of steps you want to take to go engage with a prospect or with an existing client. And you literally, what you do in the sequence is you organize your workflow, and then you create content to go with your workflow. And so in this case, this is a sequence that says, I'm going to email an update to all of these prospects, letting them know that Microsoft just reduced the price of Copilot from $30 a month down to $21 a month. Okay, so I'm gonna do a campaign around this, and I'm gonna send an email, and then I'm gonna follow up with a quick phone call. And then if I haven't heard from them and they haven't responded and booked a meeting with me, I'm gonna send them another follow-up email. And then if that hasn't done it yet, then I'm also gonna send them a message on LinkedIn to try to catch them on a different platform. So this is called a sequence. And what I wanna show you is how you can leverage AI in the HubSpot platform to generate content that is, can just rapidly increase your productivity. So here, when you're building your sequence, you will create an email that goes into the sequence, and you can just click on this button that says Generate with AI, and what the tool is going to ask you for is they're going to say, okay, well, what are you selling? Like, what's the big pitch? And we're inviting prospects to book an AI strategy call with us in light of the recent price drop of Copilot, right? So, just for a little context here, we think a lot of organizations have not fully deployed Copilot to their whole organization because Microsoft started out with a pretty high price point. We think 2026 is going to be a banner year for Copilot because I think they've got the price point where it needs to be now. And organizations have far fewer budgetary excuses to not deploy this technology to every single employee in the workforce, in my opinion. But what are we trying to do with this campaign? We want to have a conversation. We want to reach C-level executives, and we want to give them this piece of news, and we want it to be professional. Then we go ahead and hit generate, and it will go ahead and generate this email. You can hit this generate more button, and it will generate 3 or 4 or 5 different executions and kind of different styles and tones. And then you can pick the one you want, customize it a little bit, integrate it into your sequence, and then you're off to the races. And so this is something we're using every day. We use a lot of sequences in our outreach. Sequences are very powerful because it kind of puts high volume communication in the hands of sellers in a responsible sort of way. HubSpot does put guardrails in. So like if you have somebody on the sales team who's the king of spam, there's a lot of guardrails who will like prevent them from becoming that. And it's a really productive way to reach, do high volume communications, but tailor it to different campaign themes and really segment how you reach out to people. But it also just organizes the seller's activity. So AI integrated in HubSpot, sequence creation, very powerful. And what it's getting you, I mean, you could go craft these emails over in Copilot or ChatGPT or Google Gemini, but I think so many B2B software applications our productivity is going to be improved because we don't have to leave the app to do it. It's like integrated right here in the functionality of the app. So the very last demo or example we want to show is something called.
Real quick, Ted, just a comment on that. There's like a theory out there called in the flow of work, where we are more likely to get distracted if we step out of one tool and into another. And so if we have to get over to a browser and get ChatGPT open up and then do the prompt there, when we open up that browser, maybe we're also thinking, oh, I gotta check my email, or I have some LinkedIn notifications, or what else? Okay, where was I? So there's just that opportunity. So just streamlining in the flow of work, sometimes having it right in there is a helpful way to do things. We also have a quick question here, Ted.
Sure.
Have you found the security stances of these platforms to be appropriate? Have you looked at tools and decided not to use them because of their policies or procedures?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Data governance is the thing that is slowing down AI adoption the most, and it's not slowing it down necessarily in a bad way. I mean, the organizations that are in highly regulated industries or are concerned about data governance and data privacy and potential violations, they're making the right decision, which is slow down, hit the brakes completely. So it is a big concern, and I would say that I think what we encourage our clients to do is start with data governance and security, start with an AI acceptable use policy, set up those guardrails, train your team on the risks that are out there, and make sure people understand the tools they can use, the tools they cannot use, the tools that are permissible, and then also rely on your IT department or your IT service provider to be a subject matter expert and a guide for you in understanding what some of those pitfalls will be. My main comment would be stay away from freemium tools around AI. If there's anything that's freemium, stay away from it because the guardrails are off in many cases. So if you're using any of the major LLMs, large language models, you've got to be using the premium versions. You've got to go in and make sure that your content is not being used to train any models. So those are some things to think about. I think everything we've shown today are premium feature sets, and but again, you do have to be on your toes. I mean, that every organization needs to think about data governance, privacy, and security in concert with thinking about productivity gains and all the cool things you can do. You don't want to just let people go crazy with and make it a Wild West situation with some of these tools, because they are exciting. You can do amazing things, but you do need to figure out what those guardrails are and manage to it.
You bring up such a powerful point on who answers your IT questions. If you have an in-house IT team or you're working with a managed service provider, making sure that you are partnered with people who are going to educate you on this and who have a pulse on what's going on with this, which is why we're doing all of these educational webinars as well and talking about AI, because we want to help people to understand it and not step on landmines.
Yeah, and I think all the vendors that we've talked about today have very robust documentation around these questions as well. So, the more mature and professional the vendor, the more likely they're going to be have implemented these features in a very thoughtful sort of way and give you a lot of good guidance on how to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. So last example, this is what's called Prospect Agent in HubSpot, and this is a little bit more out on thin ice, I'll admit. We're experimenting with this. The way this works is this is more almost like a robot, like doing not simulating, but doing kind of one-on-one personalized communications with prospects. But it works pretty darn well. Like, so let me just talk you through how you do this. You build a seller profile. And the way you build a seller profile is that you attach it to a real human being, right? So this is Ted's selling profile. You program the profile with real content. So the cool thing here is I typed in snaptechit.com. It immediately went to our website and pulled all of this bespoke information about our voice, our positioning, our unique value proposition, and it parsed all of this. Now, could be a garbage in, garbage out problem. If your website isn't on brand today because it's gotten a little long in its tooth, you're sending it to a bad place to go get information. So, in this case, we're quite happy with our value proposition on our website. We've spent a lot of time over the past year and a half specifically kind of perfecting our messaging. And so it did a pretty darn good job parsing that, pulling that in. And so it builds a seller profile. And then it's asking me, give me some calls to action, give me some offers that I can put into these communications. And in this case, we're trying to lead with, take a meeting. So we want to like put in a link to my calendar to pick a meeting. I also want to share a case study, a written case study and a video-based case study. And so I provided a couple different calls to action and offers. And then it says, okay, well, when I create these outreaches for you, do you want to approve them before I send them? Or do you want me to just go to town on it? And in this case, I'm saying, no, I'm going to go in and tell it, hey, these 30 prospects, I want you to reach out to them. And I'm also saying, I want to look at the communications before you send it. And so I say, okay, go do it. I program it. I give it these prospects. And then what it creates is a bespoke email to each one of these contacts that has context about that particular buyer's journey with us. And so, for example, it says here, hey, Bonnie, dot. And then, it customizes, says, hey, IT support for a law firm like Coddington, Hicks, and Danforth, so it actually makes it personalized and contextual to the recipient. But it also says, hey, we recently invited you to a webinar, but I wanted to follow up. So it's actually looking at the history of our interactions with the content, with the prospect, and actually building something that is kind of unique to our prior conversations. And each one of these, if I clicked you through them, I don't have the time to do it, but if I clicked you through all 10 of these, it would show you each one is kind of personally customized. And this is done kind of at scale. So, pretty popular, pretty powerful rather, just in terms of like leveraging the AI technology to create something that definitely boosts the seller's productivity, but also creates something that is very quality. Now, in this case, before I sent these out, I double checked each one of them, and I was pretty impressed with the quality before hitting the release button. So, Prospect Agent. So this is kind of like the futuristic world of agentic things, where we have agents working as our sidekicks on our work day to day. And it's a little bit Wild West. It's a little bit out there, but this is some areas where we're getting out on thin ice a little bit to see if we can boost productivity of our sellers and our marketers in various ways. So, Nathan, additional questions?
No, just some appreciation from our guests here. So
okay, all right. Well, hopefully this has been valuable for you all. If you want to sit down with Snaptech IT and talk about your company's AI strategy, or talk about your cybersecurity journey, or share with us any struggles you're having in your IT operations, scan the QR code on the left, and you can book a one-on-one appointment with one of our experts. And then later this month, we are going to have an AI expert, a guy we work with named Mark Perez, who's out there evangelizing AI and working with a lot of organizations on their journey around AI. And Mark and I are going to be giving our biggest predictions for AI in 2026. That session will be on Tuesday, December 16th. And if you're interested in joining there, you can scan the QR code on the right, and immediately get to the landing page for that. And we'll probably catch you on email as well. But with that, we're kind of out of time. Nathan, thank you for spending time with me to share some of the cool tools that we're using that are incorporating AI into their solutions.
Thanks so much, Ted. Great to be with you today. Thank you to all of our audience members for joining us as well.
And we'll see you on the next SnapTech IT webinar. Take care, everybody.